It messed me really bad for several days, and eventually I tried to look into it and research it. But each time it happens in this house, it's always a monster.
From the dawn of the spoken word, storytelling has been the backbone of human culture, warning of looming dangers and evoking our most personal fears. What you're about to hear are the real-life experiences of everyday people, brave enough to share their terrifying tales. Tales where the horror hits close to home. I'm your host, Danny. Welcome to the Hometown Horrors Podcast. Listen, if you dare. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, episode 3. I'm at my friend Gunnar's house right now. Gunnar is one of my oldest friends. I've known him since high school. The day I first met you, I was going to a friend's house and I didn't get the permission slip signed the night before. So a mutual friend of ours, Liam, takes me over to you and it's like, he can forge whatever signature you need. He played you up.
Big time.
But you did it in pencil, so it's like, that's not going to look official at all. So I went over it in pen, but I didn't erase the pencil. So when I showed it to somebody later in the day, it was like, I'm going to my friend's house, see? They called my parents and they're like, oh yeah, it's fine, whatever.
Oh, so it's still not totally my fault?
No, not at all.
Oh.
And then I think next time we hung out, maybe the first time we actually hung out, you came over to my house when we played Halo 1.
Yeah.
I'd never fully played through Halo 1 at that point. But yeah, we are currently in Gunnar's house. It's a family home. I believe it was built by your grandfather, right?
It was the first house that he ever built. I believe he was 17 years old.
He was something of like an entrepreneur, right?
Well, yeah, of course, eventually. But, he started off with, for lack of a better term, just house building, eventually became a bricklayer, just worked his way up. And to kind of put the time frame here, this house was built in the 1950s, and he was 17 years old. I failed math 3 times. Scarier than anything.
He built the house before he hit legal adulthood.
Yeah. I guess this house was built by child labor. Kind of has some goofy stuff about it, some architectural stuff that just doesn't make sense. As you can see, the window unit over there, I had to settle on something that wasn't powerful enough to support these 3 roofs because the windows are too small. So good luck jumping out in case it catches on fire or something chases you.
So it's not up to code is what you're saying.
Edit that one out. Scratch that. At least this one will be scary to anybody that's in that line of business. My lawyer is shaking in their boots.
My legal team is standing by. Anything goes wrong in this podcast.
Yeah, my legal team is waiting by patiently with a tranquilizer dart gun. Shut me up once and for all.
Yeah, so I say all of that to say that it's not an old house, but it's older, and there's always been like a vibe here. You don't really notice it because as we've obviously been friends into our, I guess these are our early 30s. Oh my God.
Yeah.
What a nightmare that is.
Yeah, it is.
But this was like a get-together house. We always used to like party here, for lack of a better term, back in the day. We literally do karaoke in the kitchen and like sing and sword fight in the driveway.
Total carnage.
Like Tortuga, that place in the Pirates of the Caribbean where they all go bananas and party all the time, is literally a party island for pirates. And then you leave your squabbles at the door, you drink, you have fun, and you leave. That's what this place has always been.
It's a coolch because trusting guys like you and the rest of the friends group, the door is always open. It's kind of like you can fast travel here. You can save your game here. If you don't want to drive all the way home from cool stuff, you can crash here.
No, dude, of like all the cool memories I have in my life, half of them have probably taken place here. But
it's great to hear.
That's also to say when there isn't anybody here, there's a very different atmosphere.
Yeah.
Like I remember I was in here while everyone was outside setting up for like a birthday party. It was like maybe 3 p.m. in the day. And I was the only one in this house. I was going to the restroom in the back, but it had like a very like a Are You Afraid of the Dark, like Nickelodeon show vibe.
Yeah.
Like I might see someone poke out of a hatch in the floor and there might be some kind of demon worship altar in the subterranean basement here.
Well, to put your mind at ease, there's only an attic, so it's a hatch in the ceiling.
Macula lives up there.
The cool thing about that is we had to replace some of the mechanisms because there was a risk that it would fall down and bash your brains out. Imagine that. The last thing you ever do is you're rushing to take a piss here. So never get in a fist fight in the house. You might get stage fatality. It's a Mortal Kombat reference. It's no one's fault. Tell the legal team that too.
It was the house.
The house did it.
Killed by the Guardians.
Yes.
So tell me about like your experiences here.
Well, there is always that different feeling when you're here by yourself. any time of day, especially at night. Even if everything's going swell in your life and you've got nothing to worry about, you just get a sense of uneasiness. You can't quite put your finger on it. I've had several episodes of sleep paralysis here, and that's not really something that you'd blame on a house. My first instance with sleep paralysis, I was in my old room, the one that's now the guest room. In that room, I remember I was in high school, and I was laying down to sleep, and I had one of those headboard-mounted lamps. Keep in mind, I had no idea that sleep paralysis could be a thing, and I passed out on a school night. I stayed up too late, and I left the lamp on, right above my head. And anybody that's experienced sleep paralysis, something like light or a sound, falling asleep with the TV on, that's like a perfect recipe for this kind of disaster. And you're kind of stuck between being awake and being asleep. And so you open your eyes and you're still, I guess, dreaming in a certain way. Your brain is broadcasting images that you don't know aren't real. And I remember I woke up and I was looking up in the corner between the ceiling and the wall, the corner where they meet, and I couldn't move. Because during sleep paralysis,
your body's shut down.
Yeah, you're totally paralyzed. What's in a name, right? And I saw a creature that scared the living hell out of me. Anybody that's played The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, we all remember the Re-Deads. It was this figure that was about 8 feet tall, and it looked like it had the body of a Re-Dead.
Like beef jerky corpse, emaciated corpse. Yeah.
Emaciated corpse, exactly. But imagine if it was like darker. The Re-Deads were brown. This was almost like someone that had died in a fire, was charred, almost like wood, a weird charred wood texture.
And the face was still that like wooden death mask face?
No, it was bigger and rounder, and it had these huge yellow owl eyes. To kind of put this into perspective, this house is very close to the road. It was walking towards the road, but its eyes were fixated on me. It didn't blink. It was staring through me.
Walking like an actual Re-Dead. There's like the slow saunter.
Yeah, it's almost like in slow motion.
And you know what happens in the games. It walks slowly and then it pounces at you.
Yeah, it pounces on you and
sucks your marrow out.
Drains your life force. So I see this, and keep in mind, I'd never experienced anything like this before. I was horrified, but I couldn't move, I couldn't scream, and it's still staring at me. But it keeps walking. It's making progress, but it's very slow. And eventually it reaches the wall, and it just phases through the wall, disappears. And by then, I regained control of my body, and I didn't know what to do. You ever been so afraid that you don't make noise? That's probably been 16 years and it still sticks with me. It messed with me really bad for several days, and eventually I tried to look into it and research it. But each time it happens in this house, it's always a monster. Whereas other places, I might see like shadow figures.
Yeah, a black silhouette maybe.
Yeah, or a group of them. That happened at a friend's house. I was passed out on the couch and I thought they had come downstairs to like shake me and wake me up. We're serving breakfast, or it's like, get the hell out of my house, one of the two. I looked up and saw a group of these shadowy figures around my friend, and as soon as I woke up, they all disappeared, which is very scary, but I don't get that luxury here. I don't exactly know all the science behind this. I just know that it was terrifying, and each time it's happened here, it's been scarier than anywhere else.
Yeah, because over the time that you've lived here, you've also had the roommates, or you've moved out at certain points, and some people, like family friends, have moved in.
Yeah. Sometimes people just hang out because despite all this, it's still a pretty fun place to be in some cases.
In daylight, yeah.
Yeah, in the daylight.
You know what? This week's shout out goes to the ABC store. That's right, the Alphabet store. Not for any particular reason. They're not sponsoring me or anything, but here's the thing. You go in there and you look at the deals, right? Sometimes they'll have a certain item. Let's say, for example, this time last year for Halloween, they had Dan Aykroyd's vodka. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the Ghostbuster himself. Again, Dan Aykroyd isn't sponsoring me, but that stuff is pretty good. You haven't had a better vodka. I promise you that. So for anyone that doesn't know, this vodka actually comes in a big glass skull, and it couldn't be more decorative. It couldn't be more awesome. It's about $50 a bottle, but you get what you're paying for. Last year at the ABC store, they had a little package with it where you didn't only get the vodka for $50, you got 4 skull-shaped shot glasses. And these things are sturdy, man. You could throw them into the sky right now. They could land on the road outside and they would still be uncracked. The road would be chipped. That's how strong these shot glasses are. And for the same exact price as the regular bottle. So, spoiler alert, going out before meeting up with Gunnar for episode 3, I got a little thing of Maker's Mark for about $35. Delicious, sure, but it came with these 2 really nice looking mugs. And these are the mugs that like the miners must have had back in the day. You know what I mean? Like not miners like under 18, like miners like people that went in the ground and got black lung and dug for coal. You could imagine them like sipping sipping their breakfast out of it like they're in the Matrix, you know? Well, how do we know this is what gruel really tastes like, scene from the Matrix? How do we know that this is what flavorless gruel really tastes like? This is the first time you've ever tasted it. So shout out to the ABC store for keeping it real. Unlike the Matrix, sure, sometimes there's a woman with a red dress and that's hunky-dory, but the other 30%, you're in the real world eating flavorless gruel and dressed like a Kanye West fashion show. Keeping it real around the clock. And here at the HHP, we don't encourage drinking of any kind, especially if it's unsafe for you or you're under the designated age. But if you do drink responsibly, here's a pro tip. Go buy the deals at your local ABC store. Back to the show.
I have a couple of other examples of that here. Nothing quite matches what I kind of referred to as the Owl Man.
It almost reminds me of Mothman.
This guy's way scarier. This guy had a better grasp of horror by saying nothing, whereas Mothman was like, chapstick, which was creepy back when I saw that. But have you ever seen that movie?
Dude, him behind the door, what was it? They shut a door and he was there. You see like a 9-foot tall monster creep.
He flew with the car once or twice.
I swear to God, there's a scene where like they close a door and he's standing there. Or maybe it's just someone talking about a vision, but yeah.
Well, that is scary. But really, that movie is he says chapstick and it's all creepy, and then he warns them about the bridge. Sorry for any of you that haven't seen this riveting piece of cinema.
Cold Case Western Australia is a new true crime podcast series produced on behalf of the WA Police Force Special Crime Squad. The series examines unsolved homicide cases, some dating back several decades, in the world's largest policing jurisdiction. You'll hear new case details and insights from the investigating detectives and forensic experts. There are now $1 million rewards attached to each unsolved homicide in Western Australia. You can listen to Cold Case Western Australia wherever you get your podcasts or by visiting the WA Police Force website.
Whatever. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
It's like what, a 15-year-old movie?
I can tell you Richard Gere had gray hair.
Statute of limitations for spoilers is like a decade, so get over it.
That being said, another experience of sleep paralysis I had. Same room, but I had rearranged it, and it was years and years later. At that point, I had played, remember Oblivion? Of course you do.
Yeah, Elder Scrolls.
Great game.
For sure.
Well, to have this story make sense, you'd have to have played the game.
So, to give context, Elder Scrolls is like, think Lord of the Rings for anyone lacking a shorthand. Medieval-ish, Dungeons and Dragons-y world. And then the Oblivion game specifically, there's a door to hell that opens up. Oblivion, it's Elder Scrolls Hell, essentially. So there are all sorts of demonic monsters in that game.
Especially when you go through those gates. So, same room, I had rearranged the bed, and I had a TV set up. I'm one of those people where I love falling asleep to the sound of a fan because TV will cause me to have sleep paralysis. But the TV would distract me, and I had a harebrained scheme to keep the TV on but not have it distract me. So what did I do? I took my pillow from the headboard and I put it where my feet were. Hey, I'll listen to the sound, not see the light hit me. And so I was facing my wall that had windows. The same windows that the owl creature, the owl man, had walked through. And I drift off to sleep, and I suddenly start hearing noises, crashes of thunder and rain. And I open my eyes, and I look at the window, because as I've said before, you can't move your head, can't move your body. So same kind of angle, I'm looking up towards the ceiling, but I can see the window. And my window is open, and there's a thunderstorm outside. But it's red. It's red like when you go through the Oblivion gates.
Yeah.
And it's raining sideways, like this violent storm. And in the windowsill is perched this little imp, this little demon. And he's kind of crouched down. He's holding the windowsill, and he's staring at me. All the monsters stare at me.
So holding the side of the windowsill.
Yeah, to brace himself. He's a small creature, so he can fit in my windowsill. So imagine sort of your stereotypical little devil kind of thing. He's got like the little furry goat legs, upper half of a human, but imagine the head of like a goblin. He's got the pointed ears.
So Philatides, but with like a golem type head.
I don't know who that is, but
like a Hercules, Danny DeVito.
Oh, okay, yeah, kind of. But he's bald. He's got big pointed ears, and he's got little like fang, almost like tusks.
Oh, like a Nosferatu, yeah.
Yeah, he's got like brown fur on his legs, and he's got almost tannish, yellowish kind of skin. And he's perched in the window, And he's like leaning forward like he's observing me and he wants to move closer. At that point, I was kind of more familiar with what I was dealing with. I was like, here we go again. And sure enough, he pounced from the window into my chest where my heart would be. And he faded through. He melted into my chest. And then I snapped awake and I could kind of move again. It was perfectly calm and pitch black, no rain, no storms. The window was closed and locked. A lot of reasons why I prefer sleep with a fan. I can't have the lights and distractions because...
Yeah, a fan is like optimum white noise for going to sleep.
Yeah. I don't know if it's an Instagram scam, but now they talk about, like, if you have trouble sleeping, try this. It's called green noise. I'm like, what sorcery is this?
Try the brown noise.
The brown noise. Great minds think alike, you know? I've had several other instances where I knew sleep paralysis was setting in, but at that point I knew, like, if I open my eyes, I'm going to see something that's going to ruin my sleep schedule. I'm going to be later than usual, and nobody's going to believe me. So I've lost count of the times it's happened since then, and I knew to close my eyes. Sounds like a very childish thing almost. If I close my eyes, well, I won't see it.
And that's very common with sleep paralysis too. It's almost like if they don't know you're awake, they won't act on you. They want to be a voyeur. They want to observe you while you're in a state of vulnerability.
They want to antagonize you. They want to chase you.
But if you catch them in the act, then they might act violently, which is like in almost every sleep paralysis experience I've had where someone was standing over me, I wanted to move a part of my body and like strike or hit them before they could like recognize that I had control of my faculties.
And sooner or later, like, let's say you have 3 instances of sleep paralysis and I don't move in any of them. It's kind of like, well, how many times you have to touch the stove before you realize it's going to burn you?
Yeah.
You kind of just give up on that. So you know your situation. At that point, I had researched it. And I was like, well, this is a thing that happens. It sucks, but here we are. I got to get sleep, right? But here's the weird thing about that. And it really only happens here more than anywhere else. It's one of the weird things about this house. I can kind of tell when it's happening, but I choose to close my eyes. So I started to have more auditory hallucinations. It's very common to hear like storms. You're about to get teleported out of Kansas, very heavy, violent winds right in your ear. Well, then I started to hear got to contact the legal team. I sound nuts, right?
Well, it's the soundtrack for The Lighthouse.
Yeah. I started to hear things. I would hear like a voice. And keep in mind, a huge disclaimer here. I don't go through my daily life hearing voices. Nothing like that. This is all in the same vein of sleep paralysis.
Well, fun fact, when you're severely sleep deprived, it simulates the symptoms of schizophrenia. I don't know if you've ever been up for like a day or two in a row.
Yeah, it sucks.
Maybe you're conking out into sleep. And it kind of it feels like you have multiple TV shows playing in your head at the same time. Mm-hmm. At least that's how it is for me. Like a daytime sitcom is playing and just random people are having conversations in my head. But it's like 4 or 5 channels are active at the same time. And it's just...
Not to get sidetracked, but yes, being sleep deprived, you will see and feel kooky shit that happens. You know, an old job I had where I used to work 12-hour shifts. I stayed up way too late to play a new video game that came out. I abused my body to play this dumbass game. And I looked at a water hose at work that they just had in case a fire broke out. I worked with machines. I swear to God, I looked at this one machine and it was wiggling like a snake for like a split second. And I kind of blinked and I said, what the hell?
Like out the corner of your eye, or were you looking directly at it?
I don't want to admit this, but I was looking directly at it. All day I was like trying not to fall headfirst to my machine, you know. So I understand like sleep deprivation is crazy. But back to the subject, I started closing my eyes because like I don't want to see this shit. I just want to go to sleep.
But it came for you regardless. It attacked what you had available, which was your hearing.
And in this house, there is a reoccurring thing. This is where it starts to get very odd. When I close my eyes and the sleep paralysis comes for me, the same wind and the same sort of, it's a voice I can't really explain. I can't make out words, but it's an angry, distorted voice. And do you remember the 1992 Dracula film?
Yeah, Bram Stoker's Dracula. I love that movie.
Exactly. Yeah. That sort of voice that he had when he's getting fresh with Mina, Van Helsing and crew are there. It's like, dude, we're going to fuck you up for what you've done. And he's a bat demon, and he says that bit about, look what your God has done to me. That voice, it's scary.
Look what your God has wrought. And then he turns into the rat.
Yeah, he turns into the rats and he escapes. It's very similar to that, but it's inaudible. It's like gibberish almost. When I have the sleep paralysis, I can hear it this close to my ear. You viewers can't see this, but imagine someone like whispering in your ear. It's right there. Or if somebody was talking to you, it'd be weird. You would press charges. You would elbow them in the face. You would almost feel them breathing on you.
You said it's right as you're going to sleep?
No, I'll wake up throughout the night. So something will disturb me. You know, the same factors, you know, whatever triggers sleep paralysis, which in my opinion, it could be sounds, it could be light, both combined, especially with a TV. You're asking for it. Now, granted, there's going to be a ton of viewers like, well, I go to sleep watching TV all the time. This guy is crazy. Well, maybe, but you're not on a podcast, are you? We're talking about me.
Well, howdy there. This shout out goes out to you. That's right, the listener. This is a big old thank you. A big old yo-ho from the captain of the good ship HHP. I appreciate you specifically, for going out and listening to the first 2 premiere episodes of this here little podcast. My heart is swollen with joy and appreciation for you, and I can't wait to show you what we got coming down the pike. For example, custom-made cover art for each episode. Can you imagine? But yeah, I appreciate all of the positive comments. I appreciate the engagement and the feedback and just the positivity that's been coming off of these few episodes. My vision for this podcast was essentially scary stories to tell in the dark with a bunch of dumb jokes in between. So again, thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your continued viewership and your continued patronage. Let's just have a little bit of fun telling scary stories together. Are you excited? I know I am. Olivia, from the last 2 episodes, she has a lot of trouble with going to sleep at night, and she has the TV or light on almost all the time when she's alone in a house. And she has a history of things happening, but that's her way of warding off an experience that she won't like. So for you to specifically have experiences where they're heightened is very interesting.
It's just things that distract me from actual deep sleep.
Like, do you understand that you're in a state of sleep paralysis, or is it just like
now
that's the jolt that wakes you up?
So now I've learned after studying it, because when something scares you that bad, like going back to when I talk about like the owl,
you've got to figure out what's going on with it.
I was like, what the hell's going on? Like, do I need to take the meds? Like, is my house haunted?
Ancestral curse?
Yeah, you ask a lot of questions. It's almost like,
especially at the age too, because like what, late teens?
Yeah, man, I couldn't buy cigarettes.
You don't know if Santa's real or not. The devil might actually exist. Like, things.
Yeah, it could happen to you, dear listener. It terrified me, and I looked it up, and so I knew to close my eyes, but you can't plug your ears. And not to mention, there's almost like I don't want to be a total pussy about it, so I'm like, what's this guy got to say to me, or what is this? And I kept thinking about how all these things have gone on in the house, and people have this uneasy feeling. I'm not going to say I've never heard this anywhere else, but it happens here. It's that voice, and it's mad. It's almost screaming, but it's whispering. It's almost threatening. He wants to scream at you, but he doesn't want anybody else to hear. I know to close my eyes and don't fucking listen. If I started off with that, in some way scarier than the visuals, because this one's reoccurring.
And multiple people are experiencing it. This is...
Well, I don't know if other people have experienced
in the same way that you have, yeah.
If they did, then we'd know to call people with vacuum cleaners attached to their backs or whatever, but...
Which might be what this is all leading to.
Hey, I'm cool with it. We'll start a GoFundMe so I can get some fucking sleep. Would you believe if I told you that I slept here by myself for 6 months without a bedroom door? It sucked really bad.
But just staring out into the darkness of this place at night would drive me
the viewers,
loony.
You can't see this, but there's, for lack of a better term, where my hallway begins, there's these 2 doors. They're side-by-side doors, and you go around a corner to go through a hallway. And when those doors are open, everybody that sees it, even if they've been here a million times or they've been here the first time, they're like, hey, I don't like that.
It's very unsettling.
I can't lie to them. I say, I don't like that either. So yeah, it's just a reoccurring thing. Maybe that's a thing to talk to the legal team about. Other instances, I've had things that will drop off the walls or kind of move on their own. That is extremely rare. We've had this house for 25 years. I've been here on my own for 10 years. I could maybe count less than 4 times I've seen something like that. You know, typical ghouls and ghosts kind of stuff. Well, ghost stuff. If I saw a ghoul, I would be talking about it before bad dreams, right? And it's all in this one room. That's the crazy thing. That's why people hate that room. This scary room is my guest room. If there's a chance that stuff is real, it's the same thing to me as if I have an open wound, why would I not put a Band-Aid? Why would I risk infection? Almost like your spirit, your soul, if that's a kind of thing that you believe in.
That's an incredibly apt metaphor for it. Letting a wound get infected, letting an opening
it's like
get taken advantage of.
Especially going through a difficult time in your life. A lot of people might fall prey to these occult or unorthodox things. I'm not here to delve into religions and things. Just when you know that it's a dark thing and you could potentially lose much more than you could gain, it's not that different for me than like risking infection or like if I'm going through a bad time, the last thing I want to do is
if you tempt fate, eventually it'll call your bluff.
It will. That's a very good way to put it. Let's say metaphorically, if I have an open wound, I don't believe in the football code that like my dad talks about. Rub some dirt in it. No, that's how you get necrotizing fasciitis. It'll rot your whole shit off.
You can't just white knuckle your way through.
Yeah, you gotta have some caution there, and that's something that I think is very, let's say, evil or darkness. Those parts of the occult are so scary to me personally. Is they're waiting for you to slip up. They're waiting for you to lose your strength or your resolve.
It's the fuck around, find out meme.
Yeah, or it's like, someone comes to you in a time of, let's say, financial crisis. I can loan you all this money.
People come to you when you're vulnerable. That's when you're easiest to take advantage of.
If you can see that in a financial situation, then why the hell not a spiritual situation? And that word's kind of goofy for me because we all hear like I'm, spiritual, not religious. And it's like, come on, live, laugh, love. What are you doing? But there is stuff out there that I'm not ruling out. And as I've kind of mentioned, I guess I've seen some of it.
We all have our moments where we have some kind of weird crossover that we can't explain, but it's easier to dismiss it and come up with explanations with.
Yeah, it's like when you see something that completely shakes your faith,
your foundation and what existence around you.
You want to make excuses. Like, I don't know what I saw, and I wish I didn't see it. So here's...
And we do that all the time for
XYZ.
Plenty of things, whether or not it's horrifying or not. It doesn't scare me right now, but I could see it becoming an issue later on as I continue to do this. It's a trope in horror movies at this point that, fuck around, find out.
Yeah.
You see the kids with the camera, they're trying to go into a haunted house, and there are all these warnings that they ignore, and then, oh no, it is real. I don't want to dig too deep. Like, you'll never catch me with the Ouija board. You'll never catch me, like...
I won't do that either.
Peeing on somebody's grave, saying the Bloody Mary 3 times or something. I'm not going to tempt fate. I want to hear stories.
Yeah.
But inevitably, I'll get a little too close to things.
But the problem with that is, I say this now, a lot of people say, don't knock it till you've tried it. Well, that's why I don't like Ouija boards.
Yeah, but you have to have some kind of connection to it for it to influence you.
Bold 3 detergent plus fabric softener.
Now those were some frightfully fun stories. Howdy everybody, it's me, your host Danny, and I wanted to let you in on something special. You might have noticed that when I introduce the show, I say we are the Hometown Horrors podcast. That's because there will always be at least 3 people in each episode. Me, the person who wants to hear a good story, the guest, the teller of a good story, and you, the listener, that takes that story and carries it with you out into the world. And we make up a special kind of trinity. We are the Hometown Horrors podcast. And if you ever want to graduate from listener to guest, reach out to us via our handle on Instagram, hometown_horrors_podcast. Our email is thehometownhorrorspodcast, no spaces, @gmail.com, or via text or phone call at 571-358-8880, which FYI is not my personal number, but give it a ring. I'll get back to you, because if there's anything I've learned from doing the podcast is that everybody has a story, and that story deserves to be heard. On your #1 source for the most spine-tingling, gut-wrenching, insomnia-inducing stories around, the Hometown Horrors Podcast.